Okay, so the next subtopic is access methods. Okay, so what are we trying to access? We are trying to access either a file or a location of a file. Okay, so now as of now we are trying to access a file. Okay, suppose that this is a file. Okay, and this file is starting with an address of 2000. Okay, so now the first access deals with sequential access. So what do you mean by sequential access? Suppose that you want to read a file. And your line starts from 2000. Okay, so in this way. Okay, so this is the page. So in the first page the address starts from 2000 and your words go on continuing. So when you use sequential access, the reading operation goes in this way. First it will read this point, then when you are reading this point, the system would have already read this point and kept it ready so that you can read it next, so that the access becomes much more easier. Becomes much more faster. So by the time you read this, the system would have already accessed this and kept it ready, then this, then this, then this. Okay, so similarly it goes with write. So when you were accessing this, the system would have already calculated the address of this location and would have kept it ready. So when you were writing this position, the system would have already calculated this location's address and would have kept it ready. So whatever happens, whether it is a read or write, that it happens sequentially, that is one after the other. And in sequential access you have a chance to move to any position back and forth. You can rewind it just like it is shown here. You can rewind, or you can go back to the beginning, or you can go back, or you can move to the current position, or you can go at the last. So whatever you do, that happens sequentially. In direct method, that is called direct access. It is also called as relative access. So here, if I want to access the location 2154, so I know the base address of this page now. So the base address is 2000. So what location do I want to access now? So it is 2054. So only this is being added. Since the base address is known, I can directly fetch this location. So similarly, any location can be accessed directly when the base address is known. So this is known as direct addressing. It is relatively much more faster. So we have other access methods also. The first one is index address method. In index address method, what do you mean by an index? So every book will be having an index. So in that index, whatever topics are there will be written on the left hand side. In which page it is written on the right hand side. So similarly happens here. So if there are contents such as Adams, Arthur, Asher, and many contents, and Smith. So if these are the contents of the file, okay, in which address, in which corner of the page, in which location of the page is it located, that will be written on the right hand side. So suppose in the same page, if it is starting at 2000 with the base address, if it is located at some about 2184, so that 2184 will be written here. So when you search Smith, when you search with the keyword Smith, it looks at this number, so it directly goes to this number and opens up this file. This is with respect to a page. when you are trying to find out with respect to a file, then all the files within a folder will have been mapped in something called as index file, and which file is written in what location, that is mapped. So if suppose you are trying to search Smith, this is in case of a word. If you are trying to search a file called as Smith, so it is located in 2184th location. So it looks at this location, it directly goes to that location and fetches the file and opens it for you. Okay, so this is index address method, access method. The last one is index sequential access method. What is index sequential access method? It is the same kind of index that is being maintained. It is the same kind of index that is being maintained with the contents on the left and relative addresses on the right. So at the very first time, whenever it is accessing this index, it directly accesses any random address which is being searched for, and then it follows a sequential method, and then it goes on sequential. Only the first time when it is trying to access, it is following direct access only for the first time, and then it follows sequential method to access the data. So these are the different access methods used to access the data.